Dear Harstem, Zerg can make infinite units and Protoss can't do anything about it. Protoss units suck balls and Zerg units absolutely destroy them. The only way Protoss can win is if Zerg makes many mistakes and Protoss doesn't make any. It is a completely imbalanced matchup that is literally 3 times harder to execute the current meta as Protoss than it is as Zerg. As Zerg, all you do is herp, defend, and play super greedy, making 1 billion drones, and Protoss has no units early to punish. How is it that the race, which is designed to have units that are beefy and expensive, loses to Roach Ravager, cheap, and A-move? It's actually a joke. The current meta is insanely more difficult for Protoss than Zerg, and it's not even funny. As Protoss, you have to have an extremely crisp build order, or you just die to several things, or you can never get your third up. Like, if you lose a single adept at the third, you lose the third most of the time. Or if you hold position your wall 1 pixel off center and links can squeeze through, you just die. It's really astronomically more difficult for Protoss than Zerg. Zerg is literally sit back, defend easy harass from Protoss with techniques that have been solved. Example, Oracle, just build a spore and 2 queens at each base and you won't lose more than 3 drones max. In order for Protoss to not lose, the Zerg has to play a bad game. It is irritating how much worse my opponents are than me and still manage to beat me because my units are trash. This imbalanced complaint form was sent in by Krill, a 4000 MMR diamond player from North America, and Krill wonders whether Zerg is imbalanced or if he sucks. So Krill, let's figure it out. Alright, and that brings us to Neo-Humanity, Krill versus the Little Tyrant. Protoss versus Zerg on a map that in my mind is a little bit Zerg favored due to this rich Vespene geyser. We often see Zerg players take the forward base either as the natural as their third or as their third base, and then they just move across the map with Roach Ravager, or they do some Roach attack and go into Mutas from there. It just allows for way sharper timings, and it is actually really difficult to deal with as a Protoss player. I also feel like that it's quite hard to harass on this map with things like Adepts and even with Oracles to a certain extent. The Watchtowers give so much vision for the Zerg player that I really feel like it is so difficult for TOS often. Wait, this is 12-poo, isn't it? Yeah. 12-poo opener here by Natty Little Tyrant, not a steroid user. As we have a... it's interesting that this didn't get mentioned at all. No? Usually whenever there's a cheesy early game or just anything that is slightly out of the ordinary, I feel like it would get mentioned in the imbalanced complaint form, but not today. So that kind of scares me. It might mean that Krill had such a terrible response that he decided to just kind of, omit that part of the entire game. So sometimes I'll watch the games, like I played a perfect early game, and I watch the early game, the guy cancels his Nexus 4 times and misplaces it the 5th time. It's like, well, perfect early game, sure. That looked great. This is... on any other map, I would have been... okay with this build. I wouldn't have been, because he gets supply blocked on 22 while a chrono boost was still active. That is actually really bad because it means that this salad is going to be way too late. But on any other map, I think this setup would have been okay. But on this map, because it's possible to make a 2-building wall, and he went for a 2-building wall, it should just be Gateway, Cybercore, single Zealot into an Adept, and a way faster Nexus. You don't need that second Gateway. You probably don't need a second Zealot either. If you feel very insecure, you can get it. But this second Zealot was so late that an Adept would have popped at the same time. Look at this. It actually... Wait, let's go back in time for this. This is beautiful to watch. So the cybernetics core finishes exactly usually at the 2-minute mark. And if you start an Adept and chrono boost it, it takes 20 seconds, which means that the Adept should finish at 2 minutes and 20 seconds if you execute the build order perfectly. Now, Krill over here has his second Zealot, a unit that doesn't require a cybernetics core, popping out at 220. So this unit would not pop out before an Adept would, and an Adept is simply way more useful. So this basically shows already that the entire early game here has been inefficient for Krill. Now, I still don't really mind Creel's position, because Little Tyrant has followed this up with no gas, a hatchery that gets placed on the third base first. So I'm honestly expecting a lot of damage here out of the first two adepts. A gasless base on the third, that means that speed won't be out. It basically means that you're going to need double sets of links in both bases. So if your natural is, well, in your natural, you can put 2 queens in the front and you can start hitting the adepts the moment they show up. And as the shade goes in, you chase the shade with the links. However, if your bases are split and the adepts move in between the bases, you need links and queens on both sides, making the defense way more expensive. And that is why you need speed in the defense. If speed doesn't get researched, however, adepts basically have free game. They can do whatever they want. They can shade back and forth. You can go up to 4 adepts. You can go up to 5 adepts. You can literally deal infinite damage. And often the hold against 12 pool is not that important. Everyone can do the hold against the 12 pool. The reason why 12 pool isn't popular at the high level is because of the adept follow-up as well. It's because the adepts require a serious response out of the Zerg player. And right now, it really doesn't. This Zerg is droning up, has just now started mining gas. So melee is going to take melee is going to take a long time to research as well, but speed is going to take a very long time to be done. Like, you could have literally had 5 adepts on the other side shading in between bases. There's freaking 2 queens total. Like, I think you would have killed every single worker here. Well, not all, well, honestly pretty close. If you would have had 4 or 5 adepts, you at least would have forced out another 12 links, minimum. And on top of that, the adepts in combination with a potential oracle could have dealt a lot of damage. Right now, you have 0 scouting information. Look at this. You know nothing. You don't know if there's gas. You don't know if there's speed. You legitimately know nothing. You're warping in stalkers for no reason. It's costing you a lot of gas. Your third base is super delayed. You could have built that a long time already because there's literally no threat. Despite holding the 12 pool in an okay way, not taking any damage, you're not actually ahead. You're not in a good spot whatsoever. You haven't forced anything out of your opponent. Your opponent built a naked spawning pool in the early game without speed, and out of you got 3 stalkers, 3 adepts, and 2 zealots, all of those defensively. You literally, well, almost literally build as many gateway units as your opponent built Zerglings in the early game. This is not an appropriate response to the 12 pool. Your initial response already was overblown, but your follow-up was way more overblown. Everything is delayed for no reason. Your harassment has been absolute garbage so far. Like, he's had no queens whatsoever. Right now he's going up to 4 queens, finally. Why did your oracle hit so late? I guess because your second gas was late. Oh, that makes some sense. I'm gonna take back wanting to insult you for that. I'll stay still for now. Double batteries? Like, bro, what are you afraid of? Who hurt you? Like, I know exactly what this is. And, oh my god, I know exactly what this is, actually. I'm gonna get to this in a second. Yep. No, oh my god. Okay. I'm just gonna pause here for a second. We need to pause. 6 queens total, okay? 4 over here at the third base. 1 spore over here at the third base. 1 spore in the other bases. And 1 queen per base. Now, what is going on, my friends? The Protoss, I'm sad to say, is delusional. And there were a couple of tip-offs here in the imbalanced complaint forum that I sadly have missed. This guy just sits up at night making up hypotheticals of things he possibly could lose to. Not things that have actually happened in this particular game or in another game, but these are just hypotheticals, things that he thinks of that Zerg could possibly do to kill him. Look at this. Like, if you lose a single adept at the third, you just lose the third most of the time. Or, if you hold position your wall 1 pixel of center and links can squeeze through, you just die. Zerg is literally sit back and defend easy harass with techniques that have been solved. Oracle, well, just build a spore and 2 queens at each base and you won't lose more than 3 drones max. None of these things have happened in this game. There's 1 queen in the natural and the main. The base that you are about to attack, the base that you're about to enter, legitimately has a single queen. Oh, it has been solved. 2 queens. He didn't use the solve. You're playing against people that haven't used the solve. Like, you're making up hypotheticals. This is like going to get gas, like going to a gas station to fill up your tank. And as you step out of your car, a guy that's like freaking 600 pounds filled of muscle hits you in the back of the head, takes your keys and drives off. You call the police. The sheriff won't do anything because apparently the sheriff is the uncle of the guy that stole your car, you know? Then you're like, well, I'll call the FBI. You call the FBI, but FBI won't help you either because the guy is well connected in Washington. Life freaking sucks for you. He's stronger than you. His uncle is the sheriff and he's well connected in Washington. It's all over. Like, this is the type of hypothetical you make up in the shower and then you start becoming afraid of going to the gas station. Bro, none of these things are happening. Your opponent has a single queen in 2 out of the 3 bases. He's probably... He's not attacking you. He's playing legit without speed for the first freaking 7 minutes. How is he going to squeeze through something? You build a blind battery in your natural, despite having the ability to scout for a very long time. You build a blind battery at your 3rd base. You literally have 0 information. And despite all of this, you're still up. Why are you still up? Because your macro is actually quite good. Your mechanics are pretty legit. Your opponent at this level is floating 1900 minerals, 200 gas, but you're actually having a pretty okay time. You're spending all of your cash pretty well. You're just not doing anything else. You're not scouting and you're deadly afraid of things that aren't happening. You're constantly checking for the monster under your bed and it's starting to hurt your neck. Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Just start playing a bit more free. Take your gases a bit quicker, brother. Come on. Live a little. Right now you're starting to move out with what? A bunch of stalkers. I actually kind of like this move. I think this is good. You probably could have moved out about 17 minutes ago. Now that speed has finally finished, you do decide it's time. But I think this is cool. You can get your oracles with it as well. There's hardly any links out. Now, you're not aware of any of those things, but because your macro is so solid, you actually could have a pretty decent chance of doing something. You do need to scout before you go in. Hello, this is not possible. Are you mad? Hello? Is this a common move at Diamond? Maybe worth it? I don't... He lost 4 stalkers. Probably gonna lose these 3 as well. I mean, there's a 5th base already, or halfway done, and 65 work. So no, this actually was not worth it. Of course, our friend is not aware that our hero of this game is not quite aware of that. Oracle's stuck. You know why these oracles are actually stuck here? Is because Krill has imagined a scenario in which every single base has 2 infestors. So the moment these oracles fly in, they will get knurled and they will be flying above, flown above a spore and they will die. It is impossible to move out of the dead space with the oracle. Zerk is completely busted. How can you not see this, Harstem, you stupid idiot? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Could have recalled this. I actually can't recall. You already used it. Gotta get caught completely out of position here against what is pretty much an all-in here out of the Zerk player. Well, this is just an all-in. I mean, the Zerk is on 59 drones. Has pure Roach Ling with just +1 on the upgrade. This is absolute garbage. What the heck? Yeah, this game is just over. No? I'm not sure why we're only building Stalkers. I thought we had a Templar Archives already. Yeah, we have a Templar Archives. We could... There's a Robo. We could get an Immortal as well. Now, this is an absolute key moment. I'm loving this move out over here. Not. Okay, look. Just think about what happened here for a second, okay? You just got attacked by a massive Roach Force. You held the massive Roach Force, and you have a lot of Stalkers remaining. It is very tempting right now to move across the map and go try and kill your opponent. But you know what's even cooler that you can do? You can check with your Oracle for free over here, or use Revelation and just check how many drones there are. And if your opponent doesn't have any drones on the forward base, there's no reason for you to attack, because it means that your opponent is stuck on the same drone count as you. You're probably going to be capable of getting better tech on that same work account, and thus all you really need to do is stay at home and send your Prism across the map for a counterattack when the inevitable follow-up all-in is going to come, because there's legit nothing else that the Zerg can do from this. You even scout! You scout no drones on this base! What? Sir, it's been confirmed that it's a trap. Alright, move in. Sir? What? Move in. It's like, what is this? Why would you do this? No! It's alive! Oh my god. You legitimately can't make this stuff up. I feel like half of these games I'm getting sent these days are freaking scripted. It's like, these are not real players. Now starts fighting outside of battery range, still winning this fight. Really needs high ground vision though, if only it blinks forward. Oh, come on, don't blink into your opponent. You can just blink back individual units. You can move back to your battery. No! Stop it, please, you're hurting me. This hurts. It's still going to hold. It still hurts though. No, don't go again. This is so painful. It's like... But why? Why are we moving on creep against someone that's down 20 workers? Like, you're taking the gases. There's cannons here. You just invested in defense. Why are you all inning? There's now no robo-bay. This is the guy that so far in this game has built 51 stalkers, 2 sentries, 2 zealots, and an adept. He's fighting pure roach. Hasn't built a single immortal yet. Hasn't decided to go for storm. Now throws down a robo-bay. Like, you're like the rich kid that buys like a $3,000 knife set because he thinks he's gonna become a cook, you know? It's like the €900 truffle slicer, pans made of pure 25,000 karat gold or whatever it is that the gold is. You know, the purest amount of gold, beautiful gold. And it cooks twice with it, and then the rest of the year just orders McDonald's through Uber Eats 3 times a day. It's like, holy crap, bro! You have all this equipment waiting for you to use, and all you're building is freaking stalkers. Like, no crap, you're gonna lose fights at some point. Your opponent also continues upgrading a little bit at least. It's gonna have carapace. Like, this is such a... It's such a sad situation. It's so frustrating to watch this. Like, you're actually winning so hard and it hurts me. I want you to win. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm rooting for you. It's like your macro is good. I can see that you practice these things. You're just a bit confused. You just don't quite know what to do with the... Just use the stuff. Like, even now you're so far ahead and you don't realize it. Like, you're literally at the finish line and you're starting to flame the referee because you don't know where your opponent is. It's like you decided to run with closed eyes. The referee is trying to explain to you that you're 100 meters ahead, but you don't hear him because you're just flaming the guy. Dude, you're winning. Go home. Sit back, relax. Get this Oracle home as well. They're building stasis wards. Your opponent legit has no workers. Like, this is so frustrating for me. It really is. Like, I look at games like this and you know what the worst part is? Is that I can understand your frustration, okay? You actually played quite well this game when it comes to the mechanics and warping in. Like, I didn't like your micro and most of your decision making, but it's obvious to me that you've practiced your build orders and your mechanics really are solid. Like, your mechanics are actually better than your opponents. But you're so afraid of everything, dude. You're so afraid of first of all, any all-in your opponent can throw at you that you're playing overly safe in the entire early game stages. And it makes me sad. You're giving up a lot of efficiency in order to protect yourself against things that aren't real. Like, they don't exist. You don't need a battery in your natural. You don't need 3 stalkers blindly against the 12 every single time. It's just not necessary, man. Come on. Let's not do that. You can scout with the oracles. You can figure out what your opponent is doing. Then you get all these fancy tech buildings, but you're too afraid of getting into a macro game. Probably because at some point in your life, you've lost to a Zerg who was really good at macro and got to these high-tech units. And now you're afraid of going there again. So in order to protect yourself from losing in a longer game, you just attack every single time with stalkers. But you don't want to be an all-inner, so you're also taking a fort and you're building cannons and you're taking gases. It's like, just play with more bravado. You know, go in there, you know? Live a little, Krill. Come on, man. I'm rooting for you, brother, but we've got to be honest here. This is not fair. This is you not being great at the game. Like I said, you didn't micro very well. Your decision-making was legitimately awful. Your scouting was practically non-existent. Your early game harassment, non-existent as well. Your opponent got away without speed for 7 minutes. You had no clue about it. How is that possible at this level? It really shouldn't be. At least, I don't think it should be. But maybe that's not me. Yeah, Krill, I'm sorry to say, but Zerk is not imbalanced. You, my friend, just suck. That's just the way it is. All right. That is going to be it for me today. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Krill, stay strong, my brother. I truly do believe in you. I felt real passion in your imbalanced complaint form as well. And that's a beautiful thing. And channel that passion for something beautiful and positive. I hope to see you on the ladder in the future. That's going to be it for me today. I do hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye-bye.